The postseason is here. The wild card series start tomorrow. We're going to preview all four of them on Talkin' Baseball. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. It's October 2nd and the playoffs start October 3rd. The regular season has concluded. It's in the past. We don't care about it anymore. If you're going to a playoff game, use code JOHNBOYPostseason at SeatGeek to get yourself $20 off.
10% off.
Ooh, 10% off. JOHNBOY Postseason at SeatGeek. Trev, Jake, Beebs. How we doing? Trev in the all white.
I love this painter outfit. I went old school John Boy Media shop.johnboymedia.com has this hat if you want it. I felt like this hat was appropriate today because Jake has been talking a lot of ish last night on the group chat, talking about his preseason prop bets that he went 3 for 3. Then in the John Boy ATS league for football, he's 4-0. This guy's on a winning streak, so I had to bring him back down a little bit. Jim, that's why I got the hat on. Jake, how are you, though?
Nice. Good job.
Yeah, dude.
You're down.
You really got back at me by wearing some of my personal merch.
You're down.
Just wearing it around.
You're down.
You've been smashed down.
Did you hear
Oh,
what
hey,
I
why
said?
are you wearing that? Oh, well, my friend Jake, Jim, Trev, Beebs, we're here. And it doesn't even feel like it because we are in the weird day before games, the little eye of the storm a little bit. I'm excited for tomorrow. We're live streaming all day tomorrow. Me and Jimmy in chairs. We're not getting up to pee. We're in the chairs all day.
You're going 0P?
And Joe's is with us, right?
But Joe's asked to pee the whole time.
Joe's
so
a
it's going to be
constant
quite
stream
the
of
stream. Wait,
I might do some cash out betting.
Hey, I'm going to do a Joe's impression. Wait, we're streaming tomorrow? So excited to get in the teeth of the postseason. And this first week and a half is such a whirlwind. Like, you've got the wild card series. You forget, like, the wild card teams that lose, they're so instantly out of your brain. Like Cardinals last year. Oh, we're in the playoffs.
They
We're gone.
become not a playoff team anymore.
It's over. Texas Rangers season could end
Mets last year didn't make the playoffs.
with a ball that goes off the drop ceiling.
Blue Jays last year didn't make the playoffs.
Mets only
Reds
made
in
the,
2020
they did.
had a losing season.
Mets only made the playoffs because of Joe Musgrove's years. Like they were a part of it because of that.
Yeah, they had a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Got to make a memory.
That's super fair.
Trev's so hot right now.
I don't know what you guys are talking about at all.
What?
At all.
I thought we were spelling it
And
out.
thanks for everyone that's joining us from Apple. You probably saw our picks. Thanks for coming through.
Pistachios are color.
And we're nuts. All right.
The first
Where do we
series.
start?
The first series, we're Cron Pod. Texas
Cron
Rangers
Pod.
will be going to Tampa to play the Rays. Rangers versus Rays in the American League. The Rangers took the regular season series 4-2. They lost the first series. Tampa Bay won. Scored a lot of runs on them in every single game. And then that was in June. And then in July, right after the break, the Rangers swept the Rays. So none of that matters nor holds any weight because it was so long ago. I only care about series that were played in September when it comes to past matchups. But that's just me. They have the worst slate. They're the 3:08 game Eastern time, which is 12 o'clock Pacific time on ABC. So, loser of this didn't make the playoffs.
Now I see what you're
We'll
trying
forget
to,
you.
to spell here. Okay.
Yes. They will be erased from memory as a playoff team, which sucks for the Rangers since they won the division, had a really good year.
Didn't win the division.
But, oh, yeah, you're right. They led
That's how they're here.
led the division for 139 games, didn't win the division, and now they're here. Damn, that stinks, Rangers.
You're starting to get it.
Letting the Astros skip the wild card round is just not good for any other baseball team. I do understand what you're saying now, but I implore all people who are at work during these games, just watch the games instead of doing your work.
Let me ask you
that's
this,
okay.
Trev. Who did the Rays make the postseason last year?
Yes, they did.
Only because of the Oscar Gonzalez walk-off.
Yeah. Memory. SpongeBob.
Well,
Okay.
and Cardinals got in last year because of that awful ninth inning.
Oh, that was horrible. Anyway, Jake, what do you got in this series? What's got your eye?
The thing I can't get over, and maybe this is a Yankees fan that's been bludgeoned by the Rays being the Rays the past couple years, but the feeling that Texas has to be feeling, and I realize this isn't the athlete mentality, but also people are smart enough. Like you said, Jim, they led the division for 139 games, and they lose it on the last day of the season to the Houston Astros. The big bad wolf, the guys that have been Exhibit A in the AL of who you want to be, 6 straight ALCSs, and you switch. You go from 3 games to decide your season, or a bye, relax, take a couple days, clear your head. And I know there's still some arguments to be had about, rest versus rust, like getting the at-bats and continuing and getting hot and winning a series and that momentum and what that feels like. But if you're the Texas Rangers, I'm sorry, your season comes down to a 2 p.m. Central Time game in the Trop. Like, I just feel like I've seen that story before, and as much as I love the Texas Rangers and I love the bats, the Rays bullpen is back. They've got options back there. And Tyler Glasnow is going to get the pill in game 1. Like, the Rays can always pitch. That I just feel like Texas can come out and maul and win this. It's 3 games. Every team we're about to discuss, we can say can win the series so easily. It's 3 baseball games, maybe 2. But the Rays in the Trop with their pitching, like, I just feel like there's going to be a time you can look up at the scoreboard and it's like, okay, yeah, Yandy Diaz hit that ball in the gap in the 3rd inning and it's been 3-1 and it's the 8th inning. Like, how did we get here? So I'm horrified that Texas's season comes down to 3 games in the Trop.
I think that is a lot of the Yankee fan. I get it. Like we talk about the Rays all the time and what it means to go down to the Trop. One thing I will say is because it's a dome, we're not going to have these strange shadows that we usually get in these wild card games. So if you're a Rangers fan, you have to be happy about that.
Great call, Trev. I now am glad this series is taking place at the Trop, something I never thought I'd be or say. But I hate the 3. We saw it yesterday because all the games start at 3 o'clock. The shadows in the Yankees-Royals game were like unbelievable. It was night and day. Yeah. So yeah, I hate that. I hate when these wild card games come down to, okay, well, the batters are blind for 4 innings. So this isn't real baseball at all. So yes, good. Go Trop, go.
Go Trop, go. And a lot of people are talking about, the Rays injuries. Obviously, what happened to their pitching staff, but, B. Lau and some of the other guys that are Jose Siri, they think might be back, and we can talk all about that. The Rays won 99 games this year. They won 99 games, and I feel like they were kind of like sleepwalking through the whole season, but in September they were 16-11. In August they were 17-8. I mean, they had 1 bad month this year. This team is very, very good. But I think the Rangers, everyone's kind of healthy. Obviously not Max Scherzer, but the lineup is healthy. There's something to be said about an offense waking up, and I think when I look at this Rangers offense, I kind of like it too much. And I don't know if that's right or wrong of me, but I have so much faith in their offense that I'm leaning Rangers in this series because of it.
Well, they're going to see all righty starters from the Rays. The Rays, all 5 of their starters, I believe, at the end of the season were righty. Their bullpen has some lefties in there. I'm sure they dispersed them balanced, but it seemed like there was more top-heavy righties in the bullpen. I was a little surprised. Usually I look at the Rays and it's so balanced.
So many different looks.
I think the Rangers, pitching-wise, are more balanced, but maybe not as skilled. Glasnow, is it Glasnow, Eflin, Savali? Is that what they're going to do officially, or is that just what we're guessing? But some pretty good pitching. But yeah, a lot of righties. Seager's been the Rangers' best hitter. He's a lefty. They've got blanking on his name. I think the bottom of their lineups are a lot of lefties. But
Well,
who's
we got the Lowe brothers.
Lowe, lefty, yeah. And then a bunch of switch hitters. But Glasnow's curveball has been incredible this season. He's thrown 400 plus curveballs. He's given up 10 hits on it. He's got a 50-something swing and miss on the curve this year, 51.6%. The Rangers are a good team against curveballs, and their best hitters have good numbers against curveballs. So I'm interested in that matchup. And if it is Glasnow versus Monty, if Monty's going to be the first, that's two tall, over-the-top curveball pitchers, just a righty and a lefty, and that's kind of fun. I like when you see pitchers that have similar pitches going against each other. So, like, if it's two guys that are going to be going four-seam fastball, curveballs, mixing it up, I will enjoy that.
Nice. Trev, I want to, because you made it seem like you're leaning Texas. I want you to walk all over yourself a little bit here because I do have a couple things going on. Like you mentioned, the Rays sneakily had an incredible season. The Orioles were always 3 steps ahead of them, which, again, shouldn't be shots fired at the Rays. Like, the Orioles just had this incredible season. Tampa has the second best record in the AL to the Orioles. It's in the Trop. Like, I love the Rangers lineup as much as the next guy, but is Tampa not the favorite in this series?
Are other teams scared of the Trop besides the Yankees? Because I don't think they are. I think that's a very Yankees-only thing.
Well, I think the Trop itself is just an image of weird baseball.
Yeah, but I feel like other teams have gone there in the playoffs, and I think that's a very Yankee brain thing that we're.
They've hosted some wild card games in recent years, and the Trop actually gets packed, and everyone's like, "Oh shit! Like, wait, they can do this?"
Yes, but the Yankee fans, we're not scared of it because of that. We're scared of it because they don't play our outfielders, the Yankees, and they don't like.
I'm not talking about that.
Okay,
I'm not. Talking about that.
I don't think it's like a great place to go into and play. You're not worried about any sort of crowd at all. That definitely changes during the postseason. Although I'd assume we see some Texas Rangers fans in there as well. It's kind of just how it happens in the Trop. You're going to get some visiting fans there. I'd venture out to say that that's probably one of the better teams the Rays could welcome into the Trop as far as like visiting fans coming in. If it was like the Yankees or another AL East team, you'd see many more, or like the Cubs, one of the bigger market teams, you see much more visiting fans. And so I think that plays to the Rays' advantage. I mean, I do think there is something there. I think my decision, and I don't know if I'm fully committed to the Rangers yet, is B. Lau's not in the lineup. You do have Luke Raley kind of nursing something. He's coming back. Hopefully he'll be okay for this series at full strength. Same with Jose Siri. It's just in my head, man. I guess I really don't have a great reason, and a lot of these series are going to be like that. I mean, look at the season record. Rangers won it 4-2. Is there really any? I know the games were really close. The run differential was right there, so it's kind of anyone's game. In my mind, I just see this Rangers offense getting hot, hitting some big homers, and they're all healthy, and I like that. You could say the same thing about the Rays, though, too. I mean, you really could. I mean, Yandy Diaz just won the batting title. Go look at his baseball reference page this year. I was just in Colorado. I saw Nolan Jones just looking like a absolute stud there. Then you got Yandy Diaz, and you're like, Guardians, what were you thinking? I know that's mean, but sheesh.
Is Monty going to start? Or are they being all coy?
They're trying to outraise the Rays. It's a scary proposition, but it's going to be Monty, Eovaldi. They're lined up.
I think you can outraise the Rays. The Astros have done it. The Dodgers have done it. The Yankees are terrible at it.
The Yankees.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying you guys keep like subconsciously doing it.
The Rays are the Rays.
I like the Rangers in this series.
Okay.
I like the Rangers offense a ton. I like the Rangers offense on turf a ton. I think the ball's going to be faster. I think there's going to be a good amount of hits. But I am interested to see how they work with their starting pitching and their bullpen, and if they're going to try and like get really funky and like do an opener to avoid having one of their bullpen guys pitch later in the game, opener Monty somewhat. I don't know if they're going to do that. I doubt they're going to do that, But if they're really trying to outraise the Rays like that, then I don't like it at all. But there's going to be some tough decisions of when do you pull your starter because you need to get as many outs as you can before you go to that pen. And then you also, the offense needs to get some big leads. But I like the Rangers offense a lot. You can't really find a bad split on them.
That's going to be probably the most talked about portion of this series is the Rangers bullpen. And, if they have a 1-2 run lead, how safe do they feel? Who do they go to? I mean, Chapman's probably not, I'd assume he's not going to be closing games out, but maybe he will. It just kind of, the last time we saw him out there in September, it wasn't looking pretty. He was very erratic. So you have Leclerc back there, and he's got swing and miss stuff. So you like that. I think there's some guys there who can get hot, but it's definitely going to be a point of interest, as it has been all season long with them. Can they finish games out? And I agree with you, James, that I think they're going to be looking for definite length from their starters. Maybe a situation where Bochy feels like he's got to leave a guy out there a little bit longer than he wants to because it's going to be better for the team than going into that bullpen. I don't think you can manage that way through the playoffs. So at some point, you got to put some trust in some guys in the back end and kind of hope it pans out. You just got to pick the right ones at the right time.
Yeah, I don't think they're long for the entire postseason unless they have like some crazy hero step up and you're like, oh, this guy didn't get a single hold all season, but he's the dude now. Like that's the kind of magic they need that you're talking about.
Yes.
I don't know. I need to see Glasnow do it in the postseason and like really shut teams down. I think he's had good starts, but not great length. And am I right there? Like I don't have.
He had a couple rough starts in September. He ended it well.
Last
has one
year
game pitched against Texas.
Yeah, last year he had a good wild card. It was the 2020 postseason that is my memory, where he had a 6.3 ERA and I think didn't have a single good game. But he did have a good game in the wild card against the Guardians. 5 innings pitched, 0 runs. 5 strikeouts, 2 hits, so shadow ball.
And against Texas, he was 6 innings, 1 earned run this year. That was in June, and that was like the Texas Rangers lineup. I don't know. Texas is an under 500 team on the road. The Rays have an extremely good record at home. And when you guys were talking bullpen before, I guess the thing for me is like the Rays are going to be so excited to press whatever button they press in their bullpen. Like whether it's, obviously Fairbanks on the back end, but, even in those middle innings, Sean Armstrong, Kittredge, Stevenson, Diekman, like the Rays, when they press their button, it's what we talk about, that Rays empowerment. Like we're putting you in a spot we believe in you in. We want you to come in, where whenever Texas presses the button, it's going to be like panic. Like this bullpen that's been so scary all year, it's going to be more, will they survive? I don't know. I think you can hear it in my voice. I'm liking how this lines up for Tampa.
They're very even in runs and runs allowed and run differential over the season. I thought it was going to be different than that. 5.4 runs, Rangers averaged, 5.3 for the Rays. 4.4 runs allowed for the Rangers, 4.1 for the Rays. I thought that was going to be a much bigger difference. So the Rangers have a +1 run differential, and the Rays have a +1.2.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool storylines in this matchup. You mentioned the Lowe brothers, Lowe brothers. Randy Arozarena, Adolis Garcia is a fun matchup. Although Arozarena has been struggling, I have some stats here since July 1st. 218, 323, 361. That just seems like Randy's going to step it up for the playoffs, doesn't it? Like, I'm not even worried about that.
He's been bored since the Classic.
Yeah, I say that, and I'm like, oh, shit, that just means Randy's going to go off in the playoffs. So don't even think about those numbers, people. You know that's what's going to happen. He's going to hit a big homer. Now I'm thinking Rays.
I'd start Eovaldi.
They have him lined up for game 2, we think.
Yeah, I think, but I like him in game 1. I don't know how they lined it up. I don't know who's been pitching down the stretch, but Eovaldi just kind of has some big games under his belt. He started the wild card game against the Yankees. He started some big games. He did a postseason run. It would be Monty's first time being like, he's thrust into that role. Seeing pitchers their first time, not not be ready mentally for oh shit, game one, I'm on the bump. I think Eovaldi's your more steady, stable presence there. And he's very familiar with the Trop, where Monty has only started 5 games in his career there, I think. I was surprised that it was so low after being on the Yankees for so long. So I don't know. They haven't officially announced that, right?
We don't know their starters.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
Their reporters are
prediction
educated
time.
guessing that because they're lined up, but haven't said.
I'll go. I think the Rangers win this in 3 games. I think it goes to a do or die, and they win the last game.
I think I'm with you. I wouldn't put any money on this, and it might be more of a want than a think. I think it's going to go 3 games. Although, imagine if it goes 2 games, Rangers lose both, and then you're like, you didn't make the playoffs at all. You were never existed.
They definitely made the playoffs. It's right here.
I don't know. This is like a bubble.
Okay.
These are like
In effect.
The play-in game for March Madness. Sure, you were on the bracket. Okay.
Jake?
For me, it feels like anything I would lean into as a sports guy comes up Rays. Like, it's in Tampa. Like, the Rays have done wild cards throughout the years. This is Texas's first time at the dance. Like, I feel like this Texas team that had the ALS won all year, now they don't. And now they're in Tampa playing 3 p.m. playoff games with Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom on the IL. Like, this lines up for a little bit of a, like, what if? And I hope I'm wrong, because I do love watching this Texas team go, and, like, what Evan Carter's been doing, the kid at the bottom of the lineup. Like, their lineup, when they're full tilt, they could be... I think when they're right, they're the scariest team in the AL. I'm just worried they're walking into a buzzsaw right now. Like, Tampa's done this. They won't be scared to go to their bullpen in the 3rd inning if they need to. And Texas, I feel like they're in the exact opposite boat. So, I don't know. I'll go with the Rays in Tampa.
The Rangers are going to have length out of their starters, or else, yes, it's gonna turn quickly. But I believe in them. I do.
You know what stat I would love for
Eovaldi.
these? The cluster out stat that Katie Sharp helps us with Talkin Yanks and works for Baseball Reference. She gives us, like, what team is more prone to the quick inning? Because for a team like the Rangers, if the Rays are prone to that, or like they get all their runs in 1 inning and then they have a bunch of dead innings between, or do they put men on base every inning? Like, that's going to help the Rangers' length. Now, Eovaldi seems like a pitcher who can get some quick innings, but I didn't watch him that much this year. Watch him a lot in the past.
Yeah, and his playoff history wasn't as impressive as I thought. And not a ton of length.
Well, he
Like,
was a
similar to
bullpen for the.
Well, that was 2018. He pitched a lot in 2021, was it?
2021 playoffs,
Yeah.
4 starts.
It was
They were all fine.
It was the wild card, and then he went on.
Yeah.
Wild card game, pitching DS and 3 games in the
Yeah.
CS.
Well, but my point wasn't about length. It was just about nerves.
Sure.
Yeah, agree.
But length matters for Texas in a big way.
True. All right, moving on. What's the next one on the docket?
Stay
It's
in the
Twins,
AL.
Blue Jays.
Oh.
Oh, we're staying in the AL? All right, Blue Jays versus the Twins. Trev's Twins. So I'll give you some info on the Blue Jays, and I'll let you take the Twins, Trev. But they split their series 3 games apiece. Toronto won the first one. Minnesota won the second one. Lots of runs in all of them, it looks like. The Blue Jays are a winning team home and a winning team on the road. How about that? They're 25-20 in 1-run games. That's pretty good for the Blue Jays. The most the Blue Jays were under 500 was 2 games, and that was in April. After ranking 7th in home runs in 2022, Toronto ranked 16th in home runs in 2023. Their offense has not been that crazy all year, although their starting pitching has been really good. And they are likely to start Gossman, Bassett, and Barrios. Someone you know, Trev, because you know the Twins.
I do know the Twins, and man, I'm going to have a hard time, I feel like, getting my mind off of what I think is going to happen. Okay. But I will just kind of go over the Twins. It's going to be Sonny Gray, or it's going to be Pablo, excuse me, first, then Sonny, the second game, and then probably Joe Ryan, game 3. Although he's kind of struggled in September just a little bit. So that could be up in the air, but I believe it probably will be Joe Ryan. Twins lineup has been ultra hot. The end of the season with the A's and Colorado, so you can kind of take what you want from that. I just was in Colorado with them and just saw them absolutely mash balls up and down the lineup. But again, I will temper my expectations just because we were in Colorado. They lost 103 games this year. Some of the guys they were throwing out there were, weren't the best. I'll say that. But I think the Twins lineup is very deep, especially when you're talking about right-handed pitching. I'm curious to see if the Blue Jays do any funny business, because when the Twins do face a lefty starter, changes kind of everything. Rocco really likes the platoon kind of, righty-lefty matchups, but it takes away some of like the best hitters in the Twins lineup when he does that. Now, he's the guy that will pinch hit in the 3rd inning. He's not afraid to do that. They've been doing it all year. I believe they had the 3rd most pinch hits in baseball. And if you look up and down their roster, it's kind of funny. There's nobody that's the main breadwinner, essentially. Like, you're going to have a bunch of guys with 15 home runs. You're going to have a bunch of guys with like 60 runs driven in, and you're just going to go up and down and see that. Some of the reasons for that is because, they're relying on some rookies who didn't get called up till later in the season. Eddie Julian is a stud. I talk about him all the time on Talkin Baseball. I think he's going to be a huge factor here. Matt Wallner's another rookie that, has been hitting the ball out of the ballpark and looks really polished for a rookie. Alex Kirilloff is still one of the young guys, although he's not a rookie anymore. Another just really polished hitter that could pump you any part of the ballpark. I think the main thing that we're looking at here as, Twins fans is, what's Royce Lewis going to look like when he comes back? Because he was, the fireball that kept them going, all season long. We all know about the grand slams and what he could do at the plate, but he hasn't played in a few, like 10 days, 12 days, something like that. And then Carlos Correa, he's been on the IL. He's supposed to come back. Buxton's kind of the wild card. I asked around a lot, is he going to be on the roster? And you kind of get different answers from whoever you talk to. I don't know if I would have him on the roster, to be honest with you, unless he could play center field, which he hasn't done all year long, and I don't think he'll just come out and do it now. If you eat up the DH spot with him, and he hasn't taken a bat since for months, I don't know if that's the right play in a quick series like that, especially when you have guys that you would get out of the lineup for him that have been producing. So I like the Twins lineup. I like the Twins starting pitching, and the bullpen has really taken form in the last month. You got like 6 dudes back there that are blowing like 100 miles an hour. Like, I don't think people give enough credit to this Twins bullpen and what it can do right now. You got Brock Stewart back. Chris Paddock came and is throwing absolute cheese out of the pen. He had Tommy John, been in the organization rehabbing. He looks nasty. Louis Varland got put back in the pen. He's throwing 100 miles an hour. About Duran. And the Twins have a very beefy roster right now and they've all been producing, and they're kind of all getting healthy at the same time, all getting hot at the same time. So it scares me a little bit that I've kind of seen their best baseball as of late, but when they're playing their best baseball, I'm telling you guys, this team it's trouble for the playoffs.
This series is awesome. Both of these teams have a little bit of recent disappointment in their history. Like, there's the Twins and their playoffs and not winning a game and that whole thing. Blue Jays, popcorn, the movie. One of these teams is going to advance and have 1-2 games in the playoffs and is going to be feeling really good about themselves. And Trev, everything you're saying about the Twins pitching, which Foolish Bailey opened up my eyes. We did a Wake and Jake episode, and he's like, dude, look at this. The guys in this Twins bullpen, the depth pieces, no joke. That there's so much to like about this. We have horses. Every Blue Jays starter that'll touch the mound this series has thrown 185 innings plus. The first 2 Twin starters that'll touch the mound in this series have thrown 185 innings plus. So you've got actual true horses that these teams believe in who will take the mound to start the game and see where we're at. And then we've got do or die playoff baseball where, how are the Blue Jays going to use like Ryu and Kikuchi? Are they going to get in the mix?
Yeah.
Because they've got 6 guys in their bullpen they like. So do the Twins. That I think this is the best series of the first round. And I'm I don't know. I'm kind of juiced. Like whoever comes out of this with the dub, like they're going to really be feeling themselves with a confidence that their organization hasn't felt in a little bit.
I think Kikuchi is a wild card here because of a lot of the hitters that are very productive for the Twins are left-handed. So if you can get him in spots where maybe Rocco has stacked him somewhere and you want to bring Kikuchi in a high leverage situation in like the 5th inning or something like that, and maybe he pitches a couple, I could see that 100% happening. Maybe trying to force Rocco's hand into pinch hitting for some of these guys, getting Eddie Julian out of the game. It's going to be, I think some of that is going to be a chess match because the Blue Jays bullpen is also very good. Not just Kikuchi and those guys that are getting back there. I mean, Hicks has been phenomenal. Jordan Romano's been phenomenal. They have real deal back of the bullpen guys as well. So I agree. I mean, it's a good matchup. I think it's my preferred matchup of any of the teams that they could have faced as far as like the Twins. There's like a little bit of slap in the face bulletin board material as Gossman was lined up to pitch the last day and they decided to go bullpen day, I believe, or a young rookie starter. Almost like, hey, who cares if we lose this game because we'll get the Twins?
Well, I think
I don't
it's
know if
also
that's how it went down, but I
think
think they'd rather.
I think you want Gossman in the playoffs more than you want to try to not face the Twins or worry about who he's pitching against. He's pretty good. And he's kind of like with Yanks saw him twice. The only thing is the Twins have got him. I saw Carl Garlick hit his splitter once. Oh. Got good numbers off his splitter. I was trying to see that because Gossman throws a splitter a lot, which is a pitch that many teams haven't faced. It looked like the Twins hadn't faced many splitter pitchers besides Gossman from a quick search I just did. But the other thing that's interesting that, we just saw the Blue Jays recently as Yankee fans. Their outfield defense is really good. Really good. So I looked up the numbers, and Baseball Savant does have them atop the leaderboard when it comes to outfield defense. As a team, I think in outs above average, they're second behind the Brewers. The Twins rank poorly in outfield defense. Actually, no, they're slightly above average in outfield defense. They rank really poorly in infield defense. Sort of the Blue Jays. They're both kind of not great in infield, which I think you wouldn't really think.
It just depends
that's what the stats say.
Yeah, for the Twins, it kind of depends on who's out there. If you have Royce healthy at third base and Carlos healthy at shortstop and Polanco at second base, that's pretty good. The first baseman, they've kind of been running a bunch of different people out there, whether it's Donovan Solano or Kirilloff. Julian isn't exactly polished yet defensively, although I did see a difference throughout the season with him. He's getting better. And then the outfield for the Twins, Michael A. Taylor in center field's very good. Gold Glover. Max Kepler could be a Gold Glover. Like, he's that good. Left field for them is a weakness for sure defensively, whether it's you have Matt Wallner out there, whether you have there could be a bunch of different guys that kind of rotate that spot, but I would give the edge defensively to the Blue Jays.
Their outfield is really good. Like, with Kiermaier, Springer, they made some plays that was
insane.
And Varsho too. They made some plays that were nuts, which is really fun to watch. Kiermaier's a fun postseason player to watch if he's doing his thing in center field, and all he needs to do, he stopped swinging for home runs this year is what he said. But I remember he popped a couple in that World Series against the Dodgers, and you're like, oh, he's going to do that as well? So that's fun.
Prediction?
Man, I really wish the Blue Jays were gave me more faith in their offense, which I like, but they just haven't, because I really like their starting pitching. I like their bullpen, and I like their defense. I don't love their bullpen, but I like their bullpen. I really like their starting pitching. I don't think how could you not? And I like their defense, but I don't know. Just watch the Yankees kind of shut them down. Eventually they took off against the Yankees bullpen, but the Yankees started kind of shut them down a little bit. And I was like, what? Even in big situations when they had runners on, and then it was they kind of just didn't get through. So here's what I think though. If the Blue Jays can find some timely hitting, then I really like their makeup to make a deep postseason run. Or I think their bats go dead for these 3 games and they never stood a chance because they couldn't get any hits and they lose close games. So I guess I'm not trying to rip on them. Because I think if they just find a couple fucking hits with runners on, I truly like them to win and make a deep run. I'll go with your Twins. You're kind of convincing me, but I don't really think that. So I can't. Yeah, they haven't won. And Kyle Garlick did the kiss of death. He did the Hasselback. Was it Garlick? Guaranteed victory. I think.
Wait, when did Kyle Garlick guarantee?
Was it Garlick? Who was it?
What are you talking about here?
I think it was Trev. Maybe it was Kyle Farmer, Trev's guy.
Was it Farmer?
I think Farmer.
He said no one guaranteed victory. What are you talking about?
Yes, they did. When the Twins clinched, he said, I know we haven't won one, but I guarantee that stops this year.
I didn't see that. Well, come on. That's
Well, you don't have to say that. Don't act like you have to guarantee
that's
victory.
Champagne drunk, having fun with it. All right, so you're going
Farmer.
I love that he said that. That Farmer's the glue guy. Of course he's supposed to say that.
2023 Central Division.
Offer.
How good does that sound?
Incredible. This team has worked so hard for it, and we played so well. And you can't beat these fans tonight. I mean, y'all brought it, and we're going to do it again in October. So let's do it again. Come on out. Let's go. This team is awesome. We worked so hard, and I'm so proud of them.
You mentioned the fans. This is the first time in 13 years that they have been here to celebrate with you guys. How special is that? How much does the energy on a night like this help?
Yeah, it's incredible. I was sitting out there and just taking.
As well as anybody, how important depth and the next part is this division title?
Yeah, I mean, all 26 guys on the roster, even the 40-man roster guys in AAA have pitched in and helped us out. So, this depth our bench is so deep, and so is our 40-man roster, and Rocco and the staff does such a great job putting us in the right situations.
Well, congratulations. Go enjoy it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's go.
I don't know, James.
I skipped around the fucking video because it's.
We're going to get that first win.
Bam.
And just taking it all in. And, everybody did such a great job tonight. And we're going to get that first win since 2004. I promise you that.
As a promise, not a guarantee. But a promise.
If you want to see Kyle Farmer shirtless, this is him yesterday.
Okay. Well, I can't.
He gets mad when I post collages and he's not a selfie with me. So I said, I gotta get that selfie, bro.
If they win, I really like that he said that. But, we want the ball and we're going to score is a famous line for a reason.
All right. So you're going with the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go with the Twins. I'm going to throw a couple more stats at you, maybe to convince Jake.
I need it. I'm on the fence right now. Sell me.
He's sitting on the fence.
Sell me this
tale of two offenses for the Twins. First half wasn't very good. They're striking out a lot. Second half, they've been probably a top 3 offense in all of baseball by any metrics. Homers, runs per game, everything. They've just gone off, okay? Couple reasons for that. They pinch hit a lot, like I said. I think early on, I don't think anybody was ready for that. It's not an easy thing to do. We talk about that all the time. Pinch hitting is very hard. They've gotten in the groove where they understand, I'm coming in the 5th inning most likely. They know how to prepare for that. So, the stats have gotten better and better and better because of that. And that type of managing happens in the playoffs a lot where you're getting guys in there. You're trying to find the right matchups. And they are ready for that more than any other team because Rocco has been doing it all year long. So they're healthy. The offense is absolutely rocking. Ryan Jeffers is a freaking stud. I know that, other teams have some good hitting catchers, but I think he's one of the better ones and nobody talks about him. I'm going Twins. I think they're going to win 2 games in a row. I think they're going to go 2-0 and advance to play, I believe, the Astros, which is scary. But for this round, I'm confident.
This is brutal. I think I have either team winning both games. So it's which team does it. It's Minnesota winning that first game, getting rid of the so-called curse. That's lifted. They're feeling good. They're in Minnesota. They win them both. They head into the next round feeling really good about their pitching and their starting and bullpen. And like you're talking about with the lineup, there's some juice there. Blue Jays, kind of same thing. Like I think they had some nerves these last couple weeks. Remember, I think a week and a half ago, they were a game and a half out of the playoffs, and it was like, whoa, Toronto, is this it? Now they're in the dance. They're playing Minnesota. And Trev, I know you're not going to like this answer because you're a little close to the situation, but I think Toronto just has a couple more dudes. Like as I look at the back half of that Toronto lineup, know who slid down in the Toronto lineup right now, Trev? Your guy, Matt Chapman. And like, I don't know what he'll provide offensively. I know he's had a weird year. I think he's had like a reverse bell curve year offensively. But you're telling me I got Matt Chapman playing his defense, batting 7th or 8th? I've got Kiermaier down there. I know he's going to give me defense and maybe some offense. Like, and what the lefties have provided, that was kind of Toronto's thing, right? Like, we need lefties. And they went out and Varsho was kind of the move. And I was a little skeptical of that because I was like, wait, you're going to break up Vladdy and Bo Bichette with Varsho? Which everything he is defensively, I think offensively he's on a different level than those guys. But Brandon Belt, a guy who's been in a lot of big games, he's been nasty. And he's the lefty breaking up that lineup. With Kevin Biggio, a 404 on base in the second half. The Blue Jays have dudes that I just think if I'm looking... Trev, this is splitting hairs, man, because I love both these pitching staffs the same. I think defensively they line up similarly. I just see 1 or 2 more dudes in that Toronto lineup. George Springer's been in a lot of battles that I'm going to lean on them. So, again, like you guys kind of laughed. You said I wouldn't put my money on this one. This one for me, I wouldn't touch because it could be one play. Like it could be one play in that first game. And I do think whoever comes out of here is a little bit of a problem. Blue Jays.
So you guys are both on the Jays. Okay. I think here's my last thought on Twins. I want everyone to remember this and clip this, do whatever you want. I think the young nucleus that the Twins have that's already broken through the big leagues, and then there's some that are on their way. Brooks Lee, the guy they drafted, I believe, 2 years ago? He's like ready to come up and looks absolutely nasty. He might have been last year's pick. I don't know, whatever it is. It was 2 years ago. That group, this young nucleus that has come up, is just as good as any of these other young nucleuses that's coming up, but nobody talks about them. And I think this postseason, people are going to say, oh, shit. Go Twins, go.
They may. Moving on to the National League.
National League is brought to you by Blue Moon, Jim.
Oh.
You might see me sipping on a couple of these during our postseason streams on the JM Baseball channel. Blue Moon.
Think I didn't have a Blue Moon in Denver? Think I didn't? Because I did.
He did.
Trev was in Denver, Coors Field, where this was invented. Blue Moon playoff baseball is here. Playoffs, bold. That's Blue Moon. Unique, that Valencia orange peel. It's the difference maker. It could be that wipeout 7th inning. It could be that diving catch in left center field. That's Blue Moon. It's beer that's made to brighten and get it delivered. There's games all day. Jimmy's not leaving the chair. There could be piss bottles. And if you're in that same energy, order some Blue Moon to wherever you live. Check out get.bluemoonbeer.com/baseball. Get.bluemoonbeer.com/baseball. Click the link in the description. You're going to be happy you did it.
Phillies are hosting the Marlins. Phillies and Marlins. Is this a 2020 situation? Who did the Marlins beat when they were all bottom feeders? Or that was a guy from Philly that called them the bottom feeders.
I think they beat the Cubs
their-
that
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah. It was a guy. It was a guy
like the guy in the
from
Phillies
the
post-game
Philly
show.
post game called them the bottom feeders, and they embraced that. That was it. Phillies. You should know them. They were in the World Series last year. They're a lot of fun players, a lot of big names. They had a Trey Turner. They were 41-40 away. That doesn't matter here. They had a .605 winning percentage at home. Harper's the team batting average leader. Schwarber had 47 homers. Castellanos, 106 ribbies. They're expected to start Wheeler and Nola, familiar names. They're going to go up against the Marlins, who are expected to start not Sandy Alcantara because he's got UCL blown out. Jesus Luzardo, not blown out. Jesus Luzardo, reported by Marlins Beat, will get the pill. And then Braxton Garrett. Interesting note about that, Jake. Both are lefty
Big time.
pitchers. Marsh for the Phillies. Good defensively. He doesn't start against lefty pitchers. So maybe that's good news for the Marlins, or maybe it's bad because Marsh's pinch hitting numbers are great. Bring in a righty out of the pen. We'll sub Marsh in. He'll hit a homer or a double.
Phillies are 30-21 versus lefties. Yeah, this is a division rivals. These teams have seen each other. And yeah, Luzardo and Braxton Garrett, I know that doesn't have the sex appeal 1-2 punch as some of the others, but those are two really, really good lefties. I don't know. I mean, Marlins fans maybe earmuffs, although I think you might know what's coming. Like, I feel like Philly's just built for this, man. I've turned into a Dombrowski Hive guy. I made the turn. I went clear. And I don't know, this Phillies lineup in Phillies, like I think they're licking their chops, man. And maybe that's horribly rude to Miami. It is kinda. But Philly's like, okay, so the playoffs are here. We got Nolan Wheeler going. We got our lineup. The Marlins are coming into town. Like, let's run it. Like, I think they're ready to go. And I hope the Marlins can change my perspective, and I'm going to be rooting fish. Like, Trev, I know you've been on for a couple years. Like, this team has a recipe. It's will it show up? And I don't know. Coming into Philadelphia, that's just a daunting task, man.
I have Philly winning the World Series this year in my preseason predictions. And, it's when you get to the postseason, now you have the format, kind of put out in front of you and you see all the teams. Like, I feel like, your mind can change. I still really also believe in this team. I love made it to the dance last year, have that taste in your mouth, have to get back. It's like an urge, like an absolute, like you need it, like you need air type thing for these guys. Miami, on the other hand, I don't know if they have that type of feeling, but they aren't scared of this series. And if you talk about like upsets, like there's going to be some upsets in the wild card round. No doubt about it. Like this one to me kind of has a feeling of like, dang, they could just go in there and kind of neutralize some of those bats and, timely hitting, 1-run game, all that stuff we talk about with the Miami Marlins, like that could easily show up here. It could easily show up here. If you look at like Luzardo, like kind of like some of the standout matchups we have on our sheet, Trey Turner's 0 for 8 against him. Bryce Harper's 1 for 9. Alec Boehm's 1 for 11. Like, if you don't see a guy well, you don't see a guy well. And then I know what Philly has too, so I'm going to lean Philly in this series. But this one to me has the biggest kind of like upset potential in the series. I mean, we're talking, like you said, it's interdivision. Miami did win the season series. They have some pieces. They seem like a team that could ruin a bunch of dreams to me.
And in the research I was doing for this segment, the Phillies fans aren't happy they ended up with this draw. Like Marlins have just been a team they don't like facing, even with Garrett's numbers not being great against them. Like they kind of feel like they just haven't beaten these two starters specifically. So they've got some interesting vibes in this set. They got choices to make.
I just think the Phillies have so many batters that are going to have a good approach, especially after doing this, being in the playoffs last year. A little more patience where the Marlins hitters might be a little more excited, a little more, we have to beat them because they're the favorites, chasing a little more, where you have Schwarber setting the tone, taking pitches, working counts. Harper's going to do the same. I don't know. I think the Phillies are a team to beat here.
Tough, man. It's tough. Like I want to shout out some fish because it feels like we're all leaning one way. Like hopefully Arise shows up, but he's been out. Like Soler has some playoff history. Like, hey, if I was just doing a little bit of like throwing a bad pitch meter, and I was like, my God, the Phillies. You throw one bad pitch to Schwarber, Trey Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Real Muto, like that in a 3-game set, that's it. Where for Miami, it feels like Arias will cut you. Like, he'll cut you. It doesn't feel like he'll kill you. And maybe we'll be looking back in 3 days saying, well, Luis Arias went 8 for 11, so problem solved. Soler, we've seen it, and he could be the one that stings you. But Phillies, it's every guy. It's every guy. And they've got dudes in their bullpen now. Remember when it was like Philly doesn't play defense and they don't have a bullpen? They kind of have that too. Like, they feel like, and maybe it's because I want them to feel this way, they feel like the modern example of what teams should be trying to achieve in this playoff format. We have a ton of dudes. Get us in the dance, and we'll take on anyone. God, Harper playing first base, like there's something so sick about that, and maybe that's why I'm just getting sucked in like a little kid.
We keep talking about these lefties, the 4 high leverage relievers in the Miami pen are lefties. You're starting 2 lefties the first 2 games. Philly's been better against left-handed pitching all year long. So what are we even talking about?
I just deep dove into that. Lefties can still have a night against the Phillies, like Max Fried had a good night. Those stats are padded by some Mets.
By some Mets. I was wondering, there could be some big blow-up games.
Peterson once, Quintana twice, and then some like openers. I think the Pirates threw like Ozark, or what's his name? Okert. Yeah.
Stephen Okert.
Angels threw an opener. Tyler Anderson
you could say that about the right-handers too, though, right? Like they probably had some big blow-up games against some righties.
Well, righties just such a larger sample size where like bad lefties. If you are a team where even bad lefties get you out, then I think that speaks a lot. Like, hey, you're prone to being bad against lefties. I think it's neutral against a good lefty pitcher. Because those numbers are gaudy. They have like an 800 team OPS against lefty starting pitchers. So I was just going through the game log and be like, who have they gotten to? And I came away being like, all right, like it's not, they don't just crush every lefty. They've got some big games against some bad lefties. Or some lefties having bad seasons.
Even just the lefties versus left-handed pitchers this year, I mean, they have a 740 OPS as a team. So it's not like
because besides Marsh, their lefties are. Is Marsh a lefty?
Marsh is a lefty.
Yeah, but besides him, their lefties are pro players. They hit both sides. They're not like
Harper and Schwarber.
Yeah, but but a lot of the times the platoon is more. The teams that have the Rays who have designed lefty righty, like they're just good.
Trey Turner one dot in it since whatever his standing ovation or whenever that was. I just can't see this Phillies team exiting in the first round. I can't see it in my brain, and maybe that is the biggest warning that you can have when you're talking about sports is when something seems like it's a no doubter. It's usually not. I think I'm going to lean Phillies here, and I think it might take 3 games. I'll go Philly in 3.
I think you have to lean Phillies. Coming off of last year, the dude meter in Philly, like a Love me some Braxton Garrett. Love me some baby Jesus. But how could you not lean Philly here? It's baseball. Don't get me wrong. Like I'll be happy to sing Miami's praises in a couple days if they do it. But I don't know. It feels like Trey Turner runs into one and the place erupts. Kyle Schwarber first at bat. Like if Schwarber hits a home run in his leadoff at bat, it'd feel like the series is over. It'd be like, oh, okay, we're back. So I don't know. Maybe it's horribly rude. Jim, I do want you to see the name Orion Kerkering.
I saw that already. I was like, no way.
He's got a funky pitch.
No way. Yeah, of course.
If your name's Orion Kerkering.
I was looking at the defensive, the outs above average on these teams, and just got a note. I know Schwarber's DHing. He drags the entire Phillies team down. Like they, as a team, they look bad on outs above average because he's minus 17.
Oof.
And he's in the qualified, like outfielders. 76% success rate in the outfield. So that's not a factor. And on the other side, Arise is horrible outs above average wise.
The Phillies have a defensive arrangement, even if they ended up having to start Schwarber in the outfield or something. They have a group that they can get him out and it's plus defense and get Sosa in for Bohm. They have a defensive arrangement.
Yeah. Okay, so we're all on Phillies.
Oh gosh, that's scary. First one we all agreed on.
Yeah, I'm on Phillies as well. But Marlins have a chance to just torch.
Can I change mine from Phillies in 3 to Phillies in 2?
I have Phillies in 2.
2. Tough. Rude.
Marlins win the World Series.
Not an ad. It looks like our own Jack Doyle has started doing sock reviews on his Instagram, and his first one is
day 1.
The worst.
That's a tough sock,
the
bro.
worst
You gotta
looking
throw
sock
that.
I've ever seen. 2 out of 10.
But I mean, that's what he wears. I mean, he doesn't.
I've never seen him wear socks that aren't that.
I wouldn't put that on my foot.
To do that as your first sock review.
Yeah.
You
can't. You got to let people know you're going to be honest.
Right.
I like.
I'm
that
wearing
one company.
these socks.
Last wild card series: Jake's Diamondbacks versus our Brewers. How about that?
Before we wrap all this playoff talk up, how could we not talk about the DraftKings Sportsbook? Because they are going to be there all playoffs long. And if you're new to the game, you can bet just $5 on baseball and you get $200 instantly in bonus bets. We're going to be doing our live streams. There's going to be a couple bets out there. Make sure you're watching with us. And if you're at the DraftKings Sportsbook, download it now. DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Talkin. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on baseball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Talkin. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. 21 plus, ages vary by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See dkng.co/baseball for eligibility terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
This gets the prime time slot, or no? This gets the 10. No, this gets the prime.
It's the latest slot, whether you consider 7, 8. But it's
West
the
Coast
last,
team. So, all right. So, D-backs, Jake, 15 and 13 in September.
Philly's going to have the late slot.
That's what I thought.
The
So
this
this is the 7 o'clock.
7
Right?
This
p.m.
is 7.
Yeah.
So
Close.
the NL games.
The NLs are later.
Jake, I'll let you tell everyone about your D-backs. The Brewers, 49 and 32 at home, also 605 winning percentage. Had a really good September, October. Really good record in one-run games. They finished at a season high 22 games over 500. At no point in the season were the Brewers higher than that. Wow. Mark Canha delivered 800 OPS in 50 games with Milwaukee. His 33 RBIs in that stretch. Trailed only Contreras, 34 in that span. And they have the best outfield defense in MLB, according to outs above average. Sal Frelick came to the office and then ran into the wall to preserve a no-hitter like a wild man. He plays outfield like his hair's on fire. So I'm excited. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, I just kept raving about the Brewers defense. So I'm excited. I want defense to win a series here. I like the Brewers defense. Jake, what do you like about the D-backs? And tell us some more about them.
They did it. Like, I feel like this whole year it was kind of like, all right, Snakes, you're hanging around. Cool. Snakes are doing stuff in the West. This is awesome. They're kind of ahead of schedule. Now they're here with 3 games to play in Milwaukee, and they won both series against the Brewers this year. I mean, one was in April and one was in June, so what can you really do with that? Jim, what I like about this one is game 1 has everything on the table. It's the Snakes are throwing the kid, Brandon Pfaadt. Gallen and Kelly are lined up for 2 and 3. So
why?
Because they were playing to win the season.
Oh, yeah.
So with that, there's a huge amount of pressure on game 1. Like, everything's lining up Brewers for game 1. It's in Milwaukee. The Snakes do not have their guys lined up. Game 1's going to be super interesting because if the Snakes do jump out or get ahead, there's going to be that panic of like, oh, shoot. Like, they're kind of lined up for the rest of the series better than they are for game 1. Who knows if we'll get there? Like, I think the other side of that is the Brewers could win a dominant game 1 and everyone's like, okay, almost like the series begins now. I don't know. I'm excited for our Snakes. I think the biggest thing that they have going for them, and it's a stat I keep leaning into, with Gabriel Moreno behind the plate, this team has been a elite level baseball team. I think the catcher position is underrated throughout baseball. I think we need to re-examine how we're evaluating it because I think it matters more. They're in on every pitch. And if they bring something on the other side of the ball, that matters. And Moreno does that. I don't know. I've been saying for a little while that I think this Brewers team, compared to some of the previous Brewers teams, feels in a better place. Like, the lineup's got a little more depth for me. They're always able to pitch, but it feels like their 3 guys are ready to go. Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta. Devin Williams, in the end, is the end with their fleet of other Brewers-ish guys. Joel Payamps with a massive season. Abner Uribe is going to be a storyline in this postseason. Snakes have to feel like they're playing with a little bit of house money and, a little bit continuing, just nobody believes in us. They arguably have the number 1 dude on the field in Corbin Carroll. Like, what kind of impact is he going to leave in his first postseason? I don't know. I think they're up against it. I think the Brewers should be the favorites, but like, especially if the Snakes steal game 1, it lines up beautifully for them.
That is such the X factor. I think this series gets decided in game 1. Ooh. And I know that if you're a Snakes fan, you say, well, we got Gallen and we got Kelly going 2 and 3, so we're going to be in those games no matter what happens game 1. But it's the momentum thing. If you have Corbin Burns go out there and do what he does and say that Pfaadt doesn't have a great start, I'm not saying he can't, but say he doesn't, and the Brewers take game 1, that's going to be very, very tough for the Diamondbacks to go up against Woodruff, Peralta, that rested pen, and kind of sneak 2 wins out there. So I agree with you. That's probably the storyline of this round. And, it makes you think about the next rounds too. I mean, that's why it's so important to have these buys here, is because you can just line your pitching up while these other teams have to go into the wild card, use all their pitching, and then kind of start their 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 guys to start off that next series. Kind of what's happening in this series to start, because like you mentioned, the Diamondbacks were still going out and making sure they made the playoffs. So game 1's very, very important. I'm excited to see kind of like the new guys on the Brewers. We know Willie Adames is going to have some postseason moments. I believe Christian Yelich is going to have some postseason moments, but the guys they brought over have been very good. And are they going to just come in and kind of be like, okay, we got these guys for this reason? And if Mark Canha produces like he has been, and Santana as well, that's a huge, it's going to make this feel different, like you mentioned, than any other Brewers teams. And then the X factor for me on the offensive side for the Brewers, Josh Donaldson. Wouldn't it be just like some kind of story that he just showed up and hit some postseason homers, and you cannot put it past that guy to do it. You just can't.
I think this series, although I don't think it's going to be the most viewed by, non-fans of the teams or just baseball fans, has the chance, like most likely, to offer us the brand of baseball I think is most entertaining to people who do not watch the sport regularly. You have two defensively minded, like stud teams. Like both these teams have great defense, will make crazy plays at shortstop, catcher position, the outfield. They all, the Diamondbacks don't have a player that qualifies. That's negative. They're all plus. The Brewers' only negative is Rowdy. Otherwise, they're all plus. And Adames is like crazy good defensively. You can steal bags. I think we're going to get some speed on the bases, first to third. Corbin Carroll's really fun to watch if you're like a new viewer. So I wish it had the sex appeal to go get people that are like, hey, I want to try watch playoff baseball this year. I didn't watch any regulars. And go like this one. I think the Phillies will have more of that appeal. But I do think we could see some really fun baseball if we get some base runners and some balls put in play. And my one question, Jake, if you know, or any Diamondbacks fan that's listening, because I don't know, with having to throw Fought, who hasn't been great, what is his leash? Is it and then if it's really short, which I'm guessing would be a little on the shorter end in a close game, if it's a tied game, 1-1, 2-2, and he's through 3 innings, is it okay? Like we're in it, and you have a starter that's not Gallen or Kelly. Is Davies still around, or they have a long man, or
Jarvis? Jarvis can give them some length. They've got bodies out there, and luckily it's a 3-game wild card, so like you can.
Yeah, so
but you are right that it's an interesting point. Do you use your guys if game 1 is getting,
or do you
haywire?
let him eat 5 innings, and you're confident with the next 2 starters you have?
I think you have enough guys that you don't there's no need to let a guy die on the mound in a wild card
Yes,
game.
but it's not. Is it fucking short leash and you bullpen game it, or are you gonna? I don't know.
I think they give the kid a shot. He's like a real prospect. He's got the talent. You think they're just gonna instant yank?
I don't think it's instant yank. I think he gets one time through the order, see where we're at, continue through the order, and the first sign of trouble after that, I feel like you can make a move. This, like you said, this is the wild card series, man. It's 3 games in a row. Guys are gonna have to throw on back-to-back days in the bullpen, and possibly back-to-back days. There's no more, to me, there's no more restrictions in that way. Like nobody's gonna put their hand up and say, "Coach, I can't throw today." And I don't think you want to get behind 1-0. And I'm not saying this guy can't go out there and have a great start. 100% he can. But if there's signs of struggle going on, I think Torey Lovullo goes out there quickly, goes to the pen, or guys that he thinks are going to give him a better shot in that game. I think they're going to go out and try to win this game. It's not going to be like, oh, well, let's just let him go and see what happens because we have these next 2 stars. You can't approach the game like that. I think he's going to have a very short leash.
Trev, I like that from the perspective of making the burden easier on the kid. Like you tell Brandon Fought, hey, get ready to do 1 time through. If you're cruising, let's ride it out. If not, I just think for a kid starting his first playoff game, and like Jimmy said, he hasn't been like dominating or anything. This isn't like, whoa, we're putting the kid out there for game 1. Like Fought's had a couple touch and go starts recently where I liked that. Like, hey, I know this is a playoff game, kid. Give us 1 time through. If you're cruising, we'll feed off it. If not, that's all we need anyway. So I think the Snakes will have a plan, but they can't put them in a compromised position for game 2. So I think you have your middle reliever guys lined up and ready to go, and hopefully you're in a position to win. If you're not, you do have to be careful with a Seawald or a Ginkel because it may not be worth the bullets if you're down 1 or 2 runs, which it's a tough spot to be in because these are do or die.
Madison Bumgarner rides his horse back into the Diamondbacks clubhouse and says, "Let me back on the team, guys. Don't you know my postseason experience?" And they say, "Madison, what the
Get
fuck are you
out
doing
of here."
It's after September.
Evan Longoria kicks his horse.
Oh, no.
Evan would never do that. He's the best person ever.
This is a tough one to make a prediction on, only because we have friends on both teams that are going to listen to the show, and when I don't say one of their names, they're going to text us and be mad.
Yeah. Yes.
So I abstain.
Let's forget that we have any friends.
Okay, so forgetting we have any friends that I know are going to get hurt by my stupid, pull out of a hat prediction, I truly have no lean. I don't like that. I agree with you guys. Game 1 means a lot because this is the only matchup where we have a starting pitcher. I don't even know if you can let him go through the full lineup once, Trev. Like, they've been using their bullpen a lot, the Diamondbacks. In the last 10 days, it's like, I was looking at it, it's like 4 games, 4 innings pitched. 3 games, 3 innings pitched. Like, they've been using guys a ton to the point where I don't watch Diamondbacks games and I don't know their strategy, but I would think it's a very quick hook because you think you're going to get length out of your starter the next day. Like, that would be, and you like your bullpen. And if you're doing that, and now the Brewers got to face a new guy every time they come up. Like, that's how I would think of this if I was D-backs. Don't let the Brewers see the same pitcher twice, no matter what, because you have the arms. You can still save people in a 3-game set. If you trust that Gallen and Keller are going to give you innings in the next 2 games if it goes 3. And in that situation, I kind of like, that's tough. But it's also tough to rely on that many arms. Burns is really good. Burns' history versus Diamondbacks is really interesting. His first game, 8 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, completely shut him down. The next game, the Diamondbacks tagged him for like 7 runs in the first inning. I think he didn't record an out for a while. So I'm really torn here. And just because I am mad at Josh Donaldson still and for the Brewers for picking him up, and maybe rubbing it in Yankees fans' face. And for that reason alone, I'll choose the Diamondbacks. Don't make me feel dumb. Don't make me feel dumb as a Yankees fan.
So much leans on this first game. Mostly I want to pick Brewers. But in my head, I just see I don't know why, I see the Diamondbacks sneaking out a game and saying, we got Gallen and Kelly, we just got to win one of these games. And Zach Gallen, for those who don't know, and look, the Brewers have great pitching. Zach Gallen's a fucking dog. If he has a chance to close out a series, and because they snuck game 1, I think he's going to do it. I'm taking the Diamondbacks. I think they surprise people. I think they're going to steal some bags in big situations. I think for some reason they're going to go in and get this game 1. It's the only reason I'm picking them is I think they are going to steal this game 1.
Yeah.
And then
or
have
they
those
just
2 guys
fucking
going.
destroy Fought. He hasn't been good.
That could also happen, but I think he's going to have a very short leash. There's no way that he's going to be able to navigate through trouble. It's going to be a very short leash. And I agree with you. If the bullpen can show up and you're facing different guys, you're only facing a guy once a game, and then you have to face Gallen and Kelly, it's a risky move for the Diamondbacks. One they have to do anyway, and because of the way it lined up. But I'm going Diamondbacks. I think they're going to sneak out game 1, and then they're going to win one of the next 2.
Just checking for my records. You're both on the Snakes.
I'll switch if you don't.
Thank you.
I'll go Brewers.
Thank you.
Burns is a stud.
You're going Snakes.
Sal Frelick Terrain came to this office. We rubbed our magic potion all over them.
Oh,
Josh
geez.
Donaldson.
Gosh, now you're going to make me change.
Get out of here.
Go change. Go to the Brewers.
No, I'm going Snakes. This is a series that the one series I think I don't have like a real good lean on, but I'm going upset city here.
I think we could feel pretty dumb because we could be here on Thursday being like, well, Burns and Woodruff and Williams held them to 0 runs.
Well, that's why
Yes.
I'm on the Brewers.
Yes.
That's why you're on the Brewers.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to go Snakes. I am a man of snakes. My name rhymes with snakes. They used me in their like pregame video the other day. Didn't even know. It was just on the big board. Here's what I will give to my biased Snakes answer. There's an argument that they have the 3 best hitters in this series. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, and Christian Walker. Yelly and William Contreras obviously can
They'd
enter
argue
that
with you,
conversation. But I don't know. It's a 3-game series. The Snakes are nice to me. I'm nice to people who are nice to me. Go Snakes.
Wow.
Gabriel Moreno has thrown out 48% of base stealers trying to steal second base. William Contreras has thrown out 18% of runners trying to steal second base. I think that plays into this series. Snakes, baby.
I mean,
Snakes in 2.
we still haven't gotten like a very, it's the second or third year if you count 2020, a year of this format. So we're still kind of learning some strategies. But I remember last year was a big talk about, there's a lot of discourse about like, oh, it's the best strategy. Your ace being game 2 in these series. Right. And so obviously that would be with your second best starter going game 1 ideally. But Diamondbacks aren't the one team that's kind of testing it this year. Not by their choice, but interested.
Can't wait till this graphic goes out.
Are the Snakes the only team that don't care if they lose game 1?
They care if they lose game 1, bro. They want to win game 1.
Every team cares.
Every team wants.
They're
to
not
win
trying to
game
punt game 1.
They're the team that's most confident even after losing game 1.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Because they're not starting their ace.
They're losing the least by losing game 1.
Yeah.
A little worried for Fott.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not okay. I mean, it's not like he's facing what do you call it? The 27 Yankees. No offense to Brewers.
What about the 27 Yankees?
Is that what the good team was? That's the last time you guys were good.
I thought you were predicting
Really
the
good.
future.
2027.
Judge.
Yeah, but he's been not good. Like his game log isn't like
Kobe
much.
special, kid.
Of late, there's been some good games, but not all good games.
There has.
I think 2 of his last 3 were good, but the one in the middle was bad. So like, he's had a couple nights, but they're not great or anything. They're just,
5.1 versus the Cubs on September 15th. 0 earned runs, 4 hits, 1 walk. So
he can give enough. I'd be nervous about it, but he can make a memory.
We're kind of talking in circles now.
I'm
gotta go to
not. I don't
baseball
have a lot of
today.
faith in Fott. But
There's
go
our
make a
wild
memory.
card preview. Yeah,
Goodbye.
I agree with you.
You know what? Fott's he's really good at facing a team twice. Faced the Padres, bad. Faced them again, good. Cubs, bad. Cubs again, good. So if he gets the ball in game 2 after getting the ball in game 1, I trust him to make the correction.
He's learning. Tough time.
Who's Jake? What do you mean Jake sucks? Oh, he's this guy. He's horrible.
JM Baseball live streaming. See you guys there all day.